Hello, episode 4 of What Do People Do podcast. Welcome back. And today, it's a different episode. We haven't got a guest on today. We thought it'd be a good place to kind of introduce ourselves.
Couldn't find anyone.
No, we've got a few interesting guests lined up, so stay tuned. But today, we thought our aim as a podcast is to kind of understand other people and what they do. And we wanted to delve kind of into ourselves first so that we understood ourselves as well as understanding other people and let the viewers and kind of ourselves know a bit more about each other. I know we're all really good friends and we already know a lot about each other, but we thought what better than having a kind of a deep chat about a bit more what we do.
I think for the people listening, it's important that you understand us a little bit as well, so you have a background as to wwhy we might be asking what we're asking.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
might add a bit of context.
And the same way we start all our podcasts, I'm going to ask you two the same question. So I'll start with Charlie. Imagine yourself kind of 10-year-old Charlie Goldson.
Get it, I'm not first.
So you're a 10-year-old lad back in, is it South Africa you were in at that time? Or was it?
I would have been when I was 10, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you want to be when you were 10?
To be honest with you, I don't know specifically when I was 10, but the one I can remember when I was younger, it was because I loved dogs. I wanted to be a vet, but at the same time, I couldn't process in my head that vets like put dogs down and like all that sort of stuff.
That's the bad side.
It came to the reality check of I would be terrible as a vet because the worst thing is like watching animals die.
Yeah.
And then to be honest with you, from then it was probably a professional cricketer to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking.
Bowling Millingers, right?
It probably was.
A lot of young people want to be like
sports related.
Sports.
It would have definitely been, yeah.
What about you, Eddie? What was if you 10-year-old Eddie, little Eddie in school, were you in Berkhamsted at that point?
Do you know what? I was that kid that wanted to be a PC plod.
Did you?
Yeah, I wanted to be. I did want to be a policeman, and then I think it was more. I wanted to be a detective. I think I just watched too many sort of crime investigation programs. I was too scared to watch like a horror movie, so the next step down was like a thriller. So it was like solving the crime.
Yeah, like him.
Just like too scared to be on the front line. So I'll do all the work behind the scenes.
Yeah. You say to Eddie, "Do you want to watch horror movies?" Like, can we watch Happy Valley?
So yeah, I think 10-year-old me, I probably I think working in the police force, to be honest.
I think it's so funny, like when you're that age and your influences that are around you, and you kind of all you have is things you watch or people you know, and it's what am I going to do with the rest of the years that I'm still alive? And obviously at that age you don't really,
everything changes.
Yeah, you don't really know, but it's usually something that seems quite either
you're so unaware of the real world that you don't actually know what it takes to be anything.
I think it's normally something relatable or something like really exciting that you've seen on TV. So you either get, like you say, someone who wants to be a vet, someone who wants to be a policeman, or it's I want to be a movie star. I want to be. For me, I think it was always footballer. Probably up until the age of about 14, when I kind of realised actually, I'm not going to be good enough.
Didn't you have a trial?
Yeah, you were good enough.
You had a trial.
I wish I was good enough, mate. I wish.
You had a trial.
Yeah, I mean, I think every man and their dog had a trial, mate. Then it's always the knee injury, isn't it? What could have been?
If it wasn't for that,
my Sunday league team lost 14-0, maybe 14-1 every weekend. Honestly.
So you definitely knew it wasn't for you.
It wasn't for me. It wasn't for me.
I think I'd always, I don't know if it's just me or whether it was you two as well. In my head, I'd be like, if I do this, if I train hard enough, if I practice well enough, then I can be a professional footballer or I can be a professional skater. And it wasn't until kind of actually choosing my A-levels when I was like, actually, if I was good enough at this by now, I would be doing it full time. Yeah. And I think then it sunk in. I was like, oh no, I've actually going to have to think about something to do.
It's like that. There's a 16-year-old who's just won the World Championships for some snowboarding event.
Oh, that girl.
Yeah, and it's crazy because what's that age? 16. You're what, at a sixth form? You're at college
doing GCSE.
You don't even know what you want to do, and there's some 16-year-old girl from the same country winning a worldwide event. But you, Leo, you've got quite an addictive personality. So when you enjoy something, I can see like it's very.
It consumes
you want to get good at something. As soon as you enjoy something, for example, golf. That we started a couple of years ago.
I'm addicted.
It's obsessive. Yeah.
You are addicted to that. You'd play that every minute of your life if you could. So I think that helps you in a way. Yeah. I think that separates you. Sometimes you're a bit different to everyone else, and that can work in your favor. But sometimes you kind of do your own head in with that personality.
You get attached onto things,
and that can help in further down the line as well in careers and things like that. So it's why he does all the editing. We don't have to do anything. He's addicted to it.
Honestly, I think I'm a perfectionist as well. So anything that I'm not good at, or I feel like I'm not great at, I'll just avoid. And then things I can see myself being potentially good at, I'll put hours and hours into it because
if you
I feel like why not invest all my time in something that I could be good at rather than waste time potentially being all right at something.
He is a perfectionist. I made a TikTok. I don't know if you've seen it. Had a couple of bad edits in it, and I got a grilling in the group chat for that.
No,
it's because it has to be.
You took it the wrong way.
It has to be high quality.
I was moody.
Yeah,
it's because like. I'm in the same view as you. It's like when you watch what other people are doing, it's like you hold yourself to a standard that like they're the benchmark, and if ours isn't at least close to it, then there's no point in putting it out. Because I feel like you have in your head, it's hard to collectively have the same quality standard. Because to one person, like without being like offensive to you, you probably watched that and thought there was nothing wrong with it, and that's perfectly fine. Another person,
I feel like you scrutinise other people's work
more than you would
do
yourself, because everyone's defensive over their own work. But then with this, it's like you can't be like I'm stubborn, but again, it's like it gets to the
you
point
need high
where
quality.
if you don't have someone telling you that this needs to be changed, like you just have to give in at some point. Just do.
If we go a bit more background about ourselves, just to kind of enlighten us, you two a bit more, and everyone watching. So I grew up in Sheffield, in England, pretty like standard city. My mum's a GP, and my dad was a lecturer in graphic design. So obviously, I had the creative side of following my dad and going into design and that kind of technology things, and then my mum in the medical kind of background.
Yeah,
and I don't know at what point I decided, because now I'm a physiotherapist, I was going to go down the medical side of things or a bit more healthcare. I think it was when I was doing my A-levels and I had to decide what I wanted to do for uni, because everyone at the school I was going to uni. I know probably society at the moment, most people go to school, either leave and do like a trade, like something that you get an apprenticeship in and you work in and you're becoming something, training in something and getting money for it, or you go down the route of uni. So that was my kind of route I took. And I wasn't really pushed into it. It's just what I thought was right. My parents were just like, you can if you want to. I think we were looking at apprenticeships, but I think it was more go to uni, you'll meet loads of people. It's a great networking opportunity, and you'll get a degree from it, which is always employable.
Networking is probably the biggest thing you get out of university. So it's bigger than your degree.
I know. For A-levels, I did geography, which was only because my mates were doing it. I didn't really feel like it was going to help me. I did PE because, again, I wanted to be a footballer from growing up as a kid, and it was one of them things where it was all I really knew was sport. So PE was just a no-brainer for me. And then I did biology as well, because I was just a bit interested in the human body, how it worked, and it felt like the right science. I wasn't interested in physics, maths, or chemistry, or that side of science, but I knew I wanted to do something like that.
Yeah.
And then from there, I applied to do physiotherapy and did that for 3 years with this lovely man over here. This is where I met him, and then also met this beautiful man on the right. And now I've been working for 2 years as a physiotherapist in the NHS. I'm enjoying it. It's been a challenge. It's been eye-opening, definitely. And I'm excited to see where I go in the future, but I'm at the point now where I don't know if I'm going to be a physio forever, but if I am, I also wouldn't be upset about it. So I think it's going to be interesting to see where I end up, but that's kind of my background.
Yeah, where you are now.
Let's move on to Eddie, because he's also a physio, so we'll keep it that side of things.
I'm also a physio, and I also work in the NHS, but your
journey's a bit different, isn't it?
Background. So I went to school like everyone else.
Some kids don't, mate.
So I did my GCSEs in obviously the standard GCSEs, but then I did history, geography, PE, and citizenship.
What were you most interested in?
Citizenship. No.
What's that?
PE.
What's citizenship?
So it's
you took that as a full-on subject.
I took that as a full-on
subject. Is that how to be a good citizen?
Yeah, because it was basically a cop-out, because I didn't want to do. We didn't have to do
I've never heard of citizenship.
We didn't have to do a language. So it was like a more advanced version of PSHE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like more about like laws and.
Yeah.
I think I probably did it because I wanted to be a policeman and stuff like that,
kind of
and
related,
it's kind of related in a way. But then I wasn't the most academic, so I couldn't do exams in exam halls. Like I struggled with that quite a lot. So my best option was avoiding sixth form. Which is a lot heavy academically based.
At what point did you find out you were dyslexic? Was this during school? Or?
So there were always suspicions. There were always
Google search history.
There were always. I always had my suspicions because I hated reading, but I was also quite bad at it. But the teachers wouldn't believe that I had dyslexia, so my mum got me a private test. And it turns out I was quite heavily dyslexic. Weirdly enough, I'm quite good at arithmetic.
I think
I don't know why I didn't go down.
A lot of clever people are dyslexic though. Like it doesn't mean you're not clever. It just means for some reason your brain can't put together words in the right order of spelling.
I don't know how much a factor of just how much I just hated reading anyway had a factor on why I was bad at reading. Obviously, I have got dyslexia, and that probably enhanced, sort of exaggerated it. But I think the fact that I just hated reading was probably a factor as to why I didn't really understand words on a book so easily.
Probably why you wanted.
I went to college because it was a lot of coursework based and practical based stuff.
Didn't have to do A levels and sixth form.
And I didn't have to do A levels or
like proper written exams.
So it wasn't written exams; it was more coursework. And it was quite nice because if you failed a section of coursework, you could redo it within the next 2 weeks, and you wouldn't have to, like in sixth form, if you fail something, you've got to do it again.
Yeah, you got to redo the whole year.
Yeah. So no, it was nothing like that. But obviously, to get into uni, you have to do very well at college because it's seen as the easier route. So I managed to scrape my way getting top grades at college and got into uni. So I think at college, you've got a BTEC, and distinction star is the best you can get at college. I came to uni, got into physio through clearing, thankfully enough. Met this ugly
beautiful man.
And I obviously done my 3 years, got my job in the NHS, and I'm in the same position, I think, as Leo, really. I don't know if I want to stay in the NHS forever, just because it's not what
it used to be.
I mean, it's not what it used to be, but I guess I went into it knowing that it wasn't what it was in 2008, 2010.
We'll get into the deeps of kind of inners and outs of physio in a minute.
So I think I'll do a few more years, see how I feel, and then if I want to change career path, I will.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Mr. Charlie Goldson.
What did you start with? What did you talk about to start with? Since you
I just talked about what my parents did, and then.
Okay. Well,
what did your parents do?
I'd say my parents definitely influenced me on what I did. So I've always been interested in like business related things. Like always, even like not necessarily just running businesses, but just money in general. Like I've always been interested in how money works. Where do you think that came from though? Because this is a weird one. When I lived in South Africa, this is probably where my first like introduction to it came. We would go. So I lived on a golf course in South Africa, and after about 5,
was that because of your dad's work?
Yeah. So my dad was quite high up in like call centers. He was quite a high manager. So we used to live in the UK up until I was about 9, and then I lived all over the place. Like I lived in Scotland for parts. I lived in Cornwall. I lived. Do
you find it hard to make friends then because you weren't really in school, the same school all the time?
My parents have always said like I think I was quite a shy person. But I never struggled to make friends because we'd always be out and someone would like say hi to me or like my parents would like say hi back. Like why are you not saying hi back? So I don't think I ever struggled to make friends. Yeah. But I think if anything, it helps you make friends like, moving around because you're forced. You have
to be someone who's
you're always
extroverted.
the new person, and if you're not going to introduce yourself and get chatting to people, then
you're
just a weird kid. Like you are just a weird.
I always felt so sorry for the new kid because everyone at school knows each other. You got like a big cliquey environment.
Like, obviously, where do they even start?
Like it is hard. Like it's horrible. I feel like. When you're younger, it's not as hard. It was when I moved back, it was harder. So I was 12 when I moved back. So I missed the start of year 7 and I came back when it was like midway through year 7. So making friends was like, it was a bit like everyone's been to primary together. But I didn't struggle making friends. But the first start was in South Africa, we would go into the lakes in the golf course and walk around and feel for golf balls on our feet.
Oh,
we'd
really?
pick them up, and then we'd go back to my friend's house and clean the golf balls. And there used to be a guy that would sit.
How old are you at this point?
Like 9. And then, like 9, 10.
Had you seen other people do it, or did you
No,
just...
no, I don't even know how we got into it. I don't even know. He was a year older than me, but like, again, I don't really know what, but there was a guy that used to sit outside of the golf estate and he'd sell golf balls to people going into the estate. Yeah. So in our head, we were like, right, well, we'll get these.
We'll just copy him.
He's doing the same thing. Like, where's he getting his golf balls from? So we basically did the same thing, but to make it easier, we just sell them to him, so that he then no longer had to like source golf.
You were the middleman.
We just found them. Bearing in mind we were 9, we probably got paid like
nothing,
like 10 rand for a bag.
What's that like?
Which is a pound.
Yeah, what's the exchange?
At the time, it would have been £1, but whereas now it's like that's like 50p.
Yeah,
like, honestly, to us that was like everything, but in reality, it was nothing. So we would just like honestly every day we'd be out there picking golf balls up, bagging them, and then selling them to him, and then he'd then sell them to people coming in.
Built different from a young age.
I wouldn't even say that was like, I didn't even know.
You weren't doing it for the money at the time.
Business, like it was just like, we had nothing else to do. So it was just something that we did. And then when you got money, there used to be like a tuck shop on the golf course, and we just go and spend our money on sweets. But like, it was like that message of, we know that if we did this, we'd get money, so we could buy that.
Were you
So I feel like that whole like message was just what.
Were you that kid in school that like came with chocolate bars and sweets?
I wasn't like that. I tried it, but my school was like, they're
strict, aren't they?
I don't know. Teachers weren't. If the teachers got onto it as well, like you would get like.
Is it because you have to?
They so.
I think it's because
it's sweets.
You have to have a license as well, don't you, to sell things?
Sweets,
but some of the state of the food in the canteen anyway.
That's what it is as well. Is because if you're selling everyone sweets and they're not going to the canteen and spending money, whereas obviously the school want you to be. So if anything, you're ruining their business. So
you should have made like healthy alternatives, and then the school would be like, oh yeah, everyone go to Charlie.
Yeah, literally. But
there used to be a kid.
I used to go. So my grandparents had a Costco voucher, so we went to Costco and bought like a bulk.
Mate, it's actually
me
brilliant.
And my sister started doing it, and then we'd bag them up and then sell them. But I didn't really do the sweet route. It was more I'm not going to say why I bought them off people, because I don't think I can really say it on YouTube. But some of my friends, I wouldn't say friends, people that I went to school with, were interested in other things that they'd rather spend their money on. Yeah. So I would be that person that would buy anything off of them, like phones, laptops, Xboxes. So like, if anything, I wasn't walking around school with sweets, I'd be walking around with an Xbox in my bag or something like that. And then
teachers like, why the hell have you got an Xbox in your bag?
Sometimes I'd walk in and there'd be just an Xbox on my desk, and my teacher's like, why have you got an Xbox in school? And I'd have like a JD Sports PE bag ready to like stuff it in there and carry it around for the whole day. But it was just the best way to like, again, it was like.
And you sell it on eBay?
No, I was too young then for eBay, so I'd sell it on like Facebook or anything like that. But again, like I was buying off them for nothing. I was probably the money I was making was not a lot, but when you're like 12 and
it feels like
you
a lot.
live in a town where you're almost just too young to get a job.
Yeah.
Like you're making money and your friends aren't. So if anything, it was like, I've got money. I did do a paper round, but
I think kids that did paper round built different, mate.
I actually never did one.
I didn't either. That's why.
Not in Sheffield. The absolute hills everywhere.
Right. I did a paper round, but I hated it. Honestly, like waking up it's like 6 a.m, getting the papers, delivering.
I could never have done that.
My paper round was an easy one as well. Like it was only like 10 houses.
I think people that are successful have all been a paper round kid.
It was like the thing. I didn't do it because I enjoyed it.
Mate, it builds you up.
Don't believe that logic. It is not true.
No, mate, it gives you. They're sad people, man. They're sad people.
And then, so you obviously had this cool background where you were interested in selling stuff. Did you go into A levels after that?
Yeah. So I went from GCSEs.
GCSEs,
into A levels. So obviously I took business.
Yeah.
Which was more so because when we moved back from South Africa, my dad left his job at that point and then started a couple of his own businesses, which like I feel like being involved in it and sort of seeing the whole process of it, I kind of liked the idea. Yeah. And I'd always been interested in the possibility of creating something or running a business.
So what did you take?
I took business, IT, because it was kind of like a related field that I knew would feed like quite well into business. Yeah. And then this is an awful subject. The worst A-level you can take.
Sociology.
Media, mate. The worst A-level.
Really?
No
Tell me something you learned.
So, no, because I went for a period where I went off of business and then got really interested in like video editing and stuff. Like I was obsessed with YouTube. Like I was that kid who was like 12 who had his FIFA YouTube channel opening like packs and all that. And
let the world know what the channel was.
No chance.
No one's ever seen them.
Yeah,
he'd never shown us a thing.
I've never shown anyone any of them. They were all like privated, like good luck to you. But
character building,
video editing and all that I was really like interested in, which I mean for this it kind of like the thumbnails and all that, I'd been working on it, but I never really thought I'd do anything with it. It was like one of those subjects where I just enjoyed it, so I thought I'd take it. I'd say I probably did learn some valuable things, especially in this day and age of like video creation and all that. It probably has helped.
At what point did you then decide you were going to go to uni rather than doing something?
I feel like I was one of those, like it was just a natural progression. I feel like I didn't really know what I wanted to do, which is why I took business. Because it was like I never specialized in anything. It was like, this gives me the opportunity to do anything. So, but I was also very naive and thought that just because of the way I was inclined that I would be good at business. So I didn't revise for my business A level. I hated revising, so I didn't really revise for any of my subjects. I got a distinction in IT, which I was actually really happy with. But I feel like the thing that held me back a little bit is in school, all of my teachers predicted me low grades, no matter what I did. So then, especially as like an impressionable,
you were a little bit of a naughty little boy.
No, I wouldn't. No, I didn't get like detentions or anything like that. It was just.
I never really tried hard in school until it came to.
Really tried hard enough.
It came to A levels, and I was like, "This is actually going to make a difference if I get good grades versus if I get average grades." For me, in my head, that was like going to uni that I wanted to versus kind of going to one through clearing that was kind of just given to you because that's all you could get. So I don't know what it was in me, because throughout like GCSEs, I was put in set 4 in maths. We only had 5 sets, like when I first moved to that school in year 7. And I wasn't a stupid kid, but I wasn't clever as well. So it was like purely for A levels. I remember a lot of people, if you asked them that went to school with me, I was always revising because I thought, why not give myself the best opportunity? A bit like you were saying earlier with the obsessive thing. I was obsessed with being the best I could be.
Your mind to something, that's it.
I know, and obviously that was good, but I'm just scared one day the addictive personality might get into like alcohol or something that's going to send me the wrong way.
I can see you going that way.
Not a chance. You're too, I think, conscious about your own health. And wanting to be better. That I don't think.
Well, that nicely leads me on to the next bit. Obviously, we'll get on to. Actually, no. We'll finish talking about you've done a business degree.
Well, I chose business just because,
and then
it was like through. I feel like my problem was, even in sixth form, I never really understood the importance of like where this then leads you, and then because I kind of got predicted low grades, it was like it almost reinforces that message that you kind of, before you've even done your A level,
what did you get?
Almost aim yourself where like you think you should be. I got a distinction in IT, which that was like the highest I could have got. And I was predicted a pass, so I ended up doing way better than what I thought I would do. Then business.
What did you get?
C, mate. I was fuming, but then again, I did no revision.
And
it's like, again,
that's pretty good considering. Then
you sit there and do like a business exam versus what you think business is.
The thing is,
like,
it's
you try and remember
irrelevant.
laws and all that, and I'm like, I sat there like,
it's irrelevant. You look at a lot of the business owners today that are very successful. They'll tell you that things like getting into uni and stuff like that is completely irrelevant.
But I felt like it was the natural progression. My sister went to uni. I was like, I'm going to go to uni. So then, so I got a C in media, C in business, and then a distinction. And then I only applied for one uni because it was the only uni I wanted to go to. I didn't have a backup. I was like, if I don't get in here, I'm not going to go. Like that was like.
What would you have done if you didn't go to uni?
No idea, mate.
That's actually mad, isn't it? That people just do these things. I'm only applying for one thing, then if I don't, like, that baffles me.
I just wasn't interested. I went to the open day. I saw the business school, and I was like, "This is a brand new business school. I love the city." I was like, "If I don't get in here, I'm not going to be happy or anywhere else."
That would stress me out, though. If I didn't
I was, but then again, I was so naive. I was like, I'm gonna get, like, I was so naive with the fact
Bro.
that I thought I'd be good enough. I was like,
the
well, I'm gonna get
confidence.
accepted.
I did interviews
I know,
at 3 unis, and Manchester Met was the only one I actually really wanted to join.
Yeah.
I think
It was actually my fourth choice.
was it?
I was like, I'm going to a red brick. I've done really well on my A levels, and then I was like, didn't get into the first three.
I
So
think-
I think there's a stigma
spacious.
around having to go to a red brick to end up being successful in life. And even everyone in my school, when we were all sat in together applying to UCAS, because we all did it together, everyone was like, oh, what uni are you going to? And everyone was saying a red brick. If you said like a poly or like a Met, everyone would be like, why are you going there, mate?
Yeah.
I was like, because the only place that does it in Manchester is Man Met. Like, in my head, it was all like very stereotypical and kind of prejudging of, people that go to red bricks are the way
I think
forward.
at that age you just follow the trend
Yeah.
as well. If all your mates who are quite academic,
But I remember,
I mean,
like,
it definitely. I feel like it definitely helps if you've got a red brick on. Like, I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't.
Yeah.
But I also agree. This is a very obvious statement. I think most people agree with. But I think any experience that you have to a company or applying for a job will be way more valuable
than any
what degree you have. If
Yeah.
you have related experience, I wouldn't worry about what.
I mean, I've
what
left
degree
uni
you
now,
have to
and
do.
looking back, I couldn't care less which uni I went to
Yeah.
because I've got
I
a
think
degree.
the only time it really makes a difference is if it's like Oxford or Cambridge.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
'Cause then
honestly-
you've got like a gold star. Next
It's more
to
about the people you meet at uni versus the degree. And obviously, in some cases, the degree is better than anything you get. But most of the time, it's the people you meet. And some unis, I just think, limit you to that because the subjects they offer are so limited or so specified that specialised, that you can't meet a wide range of people, which is why I'm glad that we went to such a big uni and met
So many
loads of
different kinds of people.
Yeah.
people.
such a great networking opportunity. I want to move on to a bit more kind of deep topics.
Oh, God.
I know this
I like asking other people.
one of us might-
I don't like answering them myself.
someone's going to end up crying here. I'm going to ask a question. Eddie's going to be like, I don't want to talk about it.
I'm glad it's
But first question, I'm going to ask you, and then you can ask me if you want to. But
if you want to.
do you have any people or any goals or anything that inspired you when you were younger?
This has got deep. Jesus.
People or goals.
Was there
that
someone you looked up to?
inspired me?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think ahead now.
No,
Really?
no. Honestly, when I was a
I
kid,
think a lot of people are the same.
Yeah.
when I was a kid, obviously I look up to my parents. My parents have set really good examples for me.
Yeah.
They've taught me respect. They've taught me to care for family, to care for friends, and be just a nice person. They've also taught me, I think, work ethic. I think getting up in the morning. My parents both get up very early in the morning to go to work, or they did do. I mean, my dad still does. My mum still works part-time.
Yeah.
But I think they taught me sort of fundamentals, and I aspired to be like them a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't, when I was a kid, I don't really think I was thinking too far into the future, to be honest.
And then
I didn't really have that person who
people,
I would be like, I want to be like him. I didn't really have that. I was kind of,
Yeah.
as a kid, I was in the now, and I was just, I didn't really care about what I was going to do.
what about now? What inspires you now? Or what would you say you wake up and you're like, I'd like to be able to do that, or say that I could do that?
Financial freedom, I think in the future would be something that I would like to be able to say I've done, or I've
There's an
achieved.
interesting debate I'm going to come on to in a minute that will touch on that. But I'll ask Charlie next. What inspires you the most, or what did inspire you when you were younger?
That's really difficult. I wouldn't say, again, when I was younger, I'd say most of my idols were sports people, because I was just obsessed with sports. So I wouldn't say, in terms of the direction I'm going now,
It's not really relevant, is it?
I wouldn't say the sports people were.
But it does
And
have a
again,
competitive
being
relationship.
from like
doesn't it?
growing up in a small town for most of like my impressionable years, I'd say from like 12 onwards, I'd probably say my parents, to be honest, just because like moving from South Africa, like then starting brand new businesses, multiple businesses, and just like 4 kids, starting businesses, giving up wasn't like, it's not an option. Like you have
They've
to
got
make
to prioritise,
something work.
haven't they, and work hard.
I'd always say, regardless of situation, they're both just really hard working. And gave us every opportunity they could. To be honest, I'd never say they ever didn't give us whatever we asked for. They try their best to give it to us.
I think that makes a good parent. Obviously, there's a time and a place when you have to say no. But if
exactly. But I'd always say they definitely tried the hardest, and I'd always say whatever they've gone into, they're just like, I wish I was like them in the sense of their work ethic.
Yeah,
it's just like they don't have like 9 to 5 doesn't exist. Like it's like a 9 till 10. Like that is just to provide.
I think for me it's weird because obviously I wanted to go into sport and be a footballer or a professional skateboarder or whatever it was at the time, whatever sport I was getting into. But there was never like a singular person. Hence why I think if you're a professional athlete, there was like one person. You hear a lot of professional footballers go, I always looked up to like David Beckham, or I looked up, and they were kind of, what do you call it? They had like the horse blinkers on, and they just had eyes for that goal. And that was what they were going to achieve. And it doesn't matter what anyone said to them, they were getting up and doing that. But for me, it was more, I always remember lying in bed at night and being like, in 10 years, I'm going to be this person. But I didn't know exactly what it was. I had no idea. But I just knew I was going to be different from where I was now. And I think I've always been driven by change. And like, I remember leaving GCSEs and going into A-levels and being like, when I'm doing A-levels, I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to be a better person. And when I left then, looking at uni or kind of picturing going to uni was so out of kind of my vision. I had no idea what it was going to be like. And then when I got there, I was then like, my next goal is getting a job. And I had no idea what that looked like. And now I've started a podcast. Like nothing I've done has ever been because I've thought I'm going to do that. It's been...
kind of just happens.
I hope in the future I'm going to be better, and the only way I can do that is by putting myself in situations that might allow for me to grow as a person. So networking, always go into like football training, so for fitness side of things, but also if there was an opportunity to learn something new, putting myself in that situation where I'd be the best position to take on that information. But both of you, my parents also did inspire me because again, my mum being a doctor, working long hours. I think you got to take your hats off to anyone who works as a doctor. Like it's not an easy job to do.
Grueling.
And I've asked her, and she only really went into medicine because she was told at school, it's a good job to get. I think a lot of people are told, be a lawyer, be a doctor.
If your mum lived again, would she be a doctor again?
I don't know. We'll have to speak to her, but.
Coming soon.
I think it's
little Easter egg.
I think it's interesting how there's these typical jobs, doctor, lawyer, accountant, that are kind of like financially stable. You're going to be a happy person.
It's all changed.
You're going to have a nuclear family.
It's like before when you ask people our age at school, what do you want to be? Like we probably would have said doctor.
Yeah. Now it's YouTuber.
YouTuber.
Times are changing.
E-commerce business owner. I feel like it's just shifted. Like the whole internet has shifted everything.
I think. For the better as well. Like there's a time
everyone's more aware of the opportunities that are out there. Like you're not just what school tells you. Like that's not just everything.
I know.
What's this debate that you wanted us to talk about?
You were saying that your inspiration now is kind of financial freedom and kind of you inspire to be in a position where you're financially free. But would you kind of what's the correct word? Would you risk or would you sacrifice other things in your life, such as health and relationships and happiness?
No. Health is a priority in my life. For sure.
Some people might say to get wealthy or to get to financial freedom, you need to sacrifice those things.
No, I disagree. I think
interesting debate.
Most rich people will tell you that they have to look after their health as a number one priority. Like any sports athlete, obviously health is a massive thing in that. But any business owner, especially the book I'm reading at the moment, he bangs on about why health is so important because it clears the mind.
If you're not healthy, you can't make money.
Health is the core to everything.
You can't be happy.
If you're healthy, then you're rich. I think if you're healthy and you live an active lifestyle and you're mentally there,
you're rich in life.
And then you're rich in life, and then that will help you to sort of make the correct decisions and take risks. I think having health gives you the ability to take risks.
I feel like you're saying sacrifice, but I feel like sacrifice becomes a lot easier when what you want in life really is what you want. So you say sacrifice relationships, but realistically, like the only relationships that you'll be sacrificing probably will be the types of people that aren't good for what you want. Whereas realistically,
But do we ever know?
You want to be building relationships with people that, if anything, support what you want and help you rather than sacrifice. If anything, you're just getting rid of the people.
Does anyone ever know what they want in life though? Or are we all just pretending?
Yeah, but you're saying...
I think you're always chasing something.
You don't know, but then I could tell you someone that's good to be around me or someone that's not.
Yeah.
Would I say, for what I want in life, no matter what it is, would I say someone that's not career-driven, is unmotivated, goes out all the time and spends loads of money? I'd know straight away...
You want to avoid them.
That I would not... Like, why would I want that influence on me of, don't worry about spending this because you get paid then? It's like, no, because... The other person would be like, no, don't spend it. Because we're going towards this, we're doing that. Instead of when you're around the right people, it becomes a collective thing instead of you just being so lonely. And I feel like there's periods of loneliness.
It's so important to surround yourself with people with similar values.
But I've definitely learned, and it's something that I want to do, is build more friends that are focused on...
Yeah, I'm hoping with this podcast we can speak to people and...
for sure.
We'll be inspired by them, and I hope we inspire other people as well with what we do and what we're saying. I think inspiration is so key to kind of building on yourself as a person. And
but then I think there's people that say once the inspiration and the motivation runs out, it's the discipline that will. It's like going to the gym. Everyone hates going to the gym. I mean, I hate it. That's why I don't go. But I'm starting again. I've had a couple of times where I've gone.
You look down at the cars,
I've stopped, and then I've gone and then I've stopped. But I think after listening to enough people tell me that
it's just
the reason why I'm stopping going is the motivation runs out. So now I'm just going to tell myself that I've just got to go.
It's easier said than done, though.
It is easier said than done.
I feel like there's a big topic at the moment that I've seen a lot of successful people talk about. And
what do you mean by the successful, though? It's a tough one.
You're successful. You're
no, that's a fair point. Successful in my eyes is that they've got money. Like they've done what they want to do. Like they've got their successful business. But I feel like even regardless of successful, I think a lot of people have realised that a big problem we have now is instant gratification, which has ruined people's ability to stick with something.
And quick fixes.
So they talk. I'm not going to ruin it for you because I know you're reading Atomic Habits, but it's in the book as well. Of people make decisions based off of what makes them happy in the moment instead of what's best for them in the long run. It's like in the moment. You want to
buy a new jumper, buy a new watch,
but in the long run, if you go to the gym, the end result is so much better than that initial gratification. But everyone these days, it's like TikTok. No one can sit there and watch a movie anymore. Obviously they can, but it's like people watch football and then they have Twitter
on their phone,
and they're refreshing Twitter, and then they're watching
TikToks.
Mark Goldbridge react to football whilst watching football, whilst looking at people talk about football. Like people are so they need to have their mind so constantly active that they can't focus on putting the work in something to then see the reward down the line. Everyone wants everything straight away.
It's interesting.
It's like weight plans and things like that, quick weight loss journeys and stuff like that.
Work.
It's just
a temporary fix.
Yeah, and it's a money maker for people. Someone's got rich because they know that's how people
plan.
Yeah, they've been clever and
and then they release a new one in 6 months and it's an upgraded version that the same person then goes and buys again.
What it is you've just got to quit small bad habits, and a lot of them or a few of them, and make small changes over time. And just build it up and build it up and build it up. The longer you do it for, that's what fixes you. That's how you're going to lose weight. That's how you're going to be richer.
It's funny how we're saying all this. We're saying all this stuff like we've.
Oh, we're not perfect. I can sit and say I'm not perfect.
Yeah. No.
I know that for a fact. But
and I find it interesting that you say success for you is wealth, because I think a lot of people feel the same.
I was going to say earlier, I feel like wealth to me is success purely because of the way I've grown up. I've seen being in South Africa when we had money and before it. I went on the nice holidays. I lived in the nice house. To the difference of then my parents trying to run their own businesses.
Finding it hard.
We were poor. There's no way of beating around it. We were very, very poor. And it was to a point where I only really realised it after a couple of years that we had nothing. We had no money really. I'm not saying we we weren't poor.
Yeah.
Like we were not right at the bottom, but we were not well off.
Yeah.
So then I feel like that was my motivation, was like, I don't want this for myself. It was like, I need to put the work
kind of
in
like
to not have this for myself.
Kind of a bit like insecure about kind of the money you had.
Yeah, definitely. Like,
and you want to be in a position where you're not.
It was like you look at other people and you see them going on holiday to so
like, I want that.
And it's like you can sit there and, especially when you're younger, like you sit there and say to your parents, like, why don't we do this and why don't we do that? And you think that's like hurting you, but like imagine how that makes them feel. Like that their kid's saying to them that I want this, I want that, and they can't give it to you. And it's like that for me is like I don't want to be like, I don't want that. So then the motivation is create the wealth, so I don't have to worry about things like that.
So building on success and what it means, you've got wealth, you've got health, you've got mental and physical health included in that. You've got relationships, which is included in kind of happiness and emotions and all that kind of stuff. How do you build the best version of that, whatever that is, for yourself?
I think the first thing is sitting down and writing down like what
you value.
You say all these things, but half of them you don't actually mean. So like the first step is actually figuring out what's most important to you. Like what are the most important parts of your life, and what are the most important things that you want to change?
What matters to you?
Yeah, like what really matters to you. Like if your health really matters to you, then you will go to the gym. Like you will
pick up something.
Like, you will do what it
not
takes
eat that
to
biscuit.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like it does taking down. Like it takes you to sit down and actually do it.
Yeah.
To then realize, like actually, like these are the things that
I did the first bit of self-reflective practice about a week ago for the first time in my life.
No,
honestly,
but you've probably been doing it subconsciously throughout your life.
True, but now I've got down on paper what I believe are my 5 main values. He's done something cool, and have you printed out your goals?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
My goals
and so I think just having that, it's the visualization.
Yeah. You keep
and
looking at them.
People
Every day I'm reminded of what
people must try all these things that you're talking about and that you're talking about throughout their lives. And obviously for some people it really works, and for others it doesn't. So to me, it's really interesting to kind of see what's out there, see what works for you. Yeah. I don't think there's one right answer for anything. Hence why we all have different lives. We're all different people. We're all made up differently, even though we're all human.
Everyone would be the same. We're all humans if there was a right answer for everything.
Exactly. But what I'd love to know, what we are doing this podcast for, is to kind of work out how do we make our lives as good, fulfilling, fun, happy, full of kind of joy and
fulfillment.
Things that we all kind of look at and collectively as a human race go, this is what living's for. This is why this is why we're alive. This is why we were born.
Yeah, but we've also done it to understand what sort of backbone it takes to get to that position and earn the enjoyment, and also have that for financial freedom in the future. And I think listening to loads of people about what they've done and how they've got there,
so
it's just, I think we said it in the first episode that we did. I think even if we spoke to 10 people and this podcast just vanished, at least we've then got
10 people we wouldn't have spoken to
10
before.
people we've spoken to that we didn't know anything about before, and we now know about 10 new jobs that we'd had no interest, or no information about at all.
So I think we've spoken about most of the stuff that we want to touch on about background. Just to finish off, I think if we just give it like a 2-minute thing each on kind of what we do now, what kind of the ins and outs of it are. Yeah. Try not to go into too much detail because I want to keep it nice and short. And then we can build on it. And if anyone's got any questions, we'll probably end up getting on another physio for me to speak with as well. We'll probably have someone who's something similar to you. So it's not going to be the last time we talk about this kind of career path. Yeah. But I'll start. So as a physio, you kind of go into it thinking it's running on a football pitch, rubbing kind of football players, making them better. Yeah. I think that's what most people go into it for. And usually it's through sport that it's the first time you've seen it on telly or kind
of. It's a very sports based.
Yeah. But you get there and there's 3 main areas of physio. You've got musculoskeletal, so that's kind of bones and muscles. So that's the kind of people you see on TV. Or if you hurt your knee or your back, it's usually who you'd be referred to by your GP. Then you've got neurophysio, so that's people who've got something wrong with their nerves. So that's either you've been born with a neurological condition, or you've had a stroke, or you've had a head injury, and for some reason your brain or your nervous system has been injured. and you then need kind of rehabilitation back to your new baseline normally. And the third area is respiratory. And this is more lungs, heart, and a bit more for people who are unwell, kind of critically ill usually, and are seen in hospital. You don't get many.
They're the sort of three main ones.
That's the three main areas of physio. And obviously there's a bit of branches off and specialists in all those areas. But currently in the NHS, most hospitals offer a rotation. So that will be usually 6 or 7 different job roles within the hospital, and you usually rotate every 6 months. Usually it will include a musculoskeletal one, which is outpatients. So you'll be seeing people who've been to hospital or hurt themselves, and they're coming back maybe every 2-3 weeks, and you're kind of updating them and giving them more exercises and treatment. Or it'll be inpatients. So that can include anything from orthopedics, so fractures, elderly rehab, respiratory, critical care, intensive care, and then community-based stuff. So going to people's houses. And it's an interesting job. You meet so many people. You have to put up with a lot of things, like most jobs. But I think dealing with the public, because it's a free service in the NHS especially, there's a lot of people who are kind of entitled and want everything. And usually they're ill, so you've obviously got to take that into account, that they're not going to be as forgiving, because when people are ill, they are just a bit more frustrated and angry, because everyone wants to feel better. So you spend most of your time going in the morning. You have a handover usually with your team, and you basically go in and try and make people better physically. So give them exercises, give them something to work towards, both physically and mentally. Usually it's a lot of education on making them a better person. I work currently in the community, so it's people who've just left hospital or are not ready to go home just yet, so they come to us for a bit of rehab. So
you work in between going home and being in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
So for people who, obviously with the hospital so stressed out at the moment, they need beds for people to go in that aren't in a hospital setting. So there's a difference between being medically fit for discharge and at their baseline. At their baseline is, can they coming in?
Manage at home?
Are they going home physically how they were when they came into hospital? If they're not, but the doctors don't need them in hospital anymore, then they'll go to an intermediate care unit, which is where Leo works.
Is there anything else you want to add about physio for you and what it means?
So I work in the community, so I'm almost a step further down the line than intermediate care where Leo works.
Yeah. But you have worked in hospitals on intensive care.
So I've worked on respiratory, I've worked on neuro rehab. Respiratory involves intensive care. I'm on the on-call rota, so I can get called in on my on-call shifts at 3 o'clock in the morning.
And what are you actually doing for those patients at that time?
Chest clearance. So anyone can come into hospital, and if they're in ICU and they're on a ventilator, then they need respiratory treatment to maintain their lungs, because they lose that ability to clear the lungs themselves. Also,
helping people cough and remove the nasty stuff that's on their chest.
Yeah, exactly. And then there's ward-based stuff as well. So people having difficulties with their breathing but aren't quite as bad as people who need to be on intensive care.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now I'm in the community. A lot of what I do is I go out to people's houses and have a look at what can be done to make them safer. I can give them exercises to look at weaknesses in their body to make them a bit stronger. I can give gait education, gait being how people walk. And it's quite rewarding. I wouldn't do it forever. I don't think it's for me completely, but I do enjoy it. I like the team.
We could talk for hours about the ins and outs of it and why we like it and why we don't.
Yeah.
But I think the best bits are meeting people, and it's different every day, and you are making people's lives better. So that's that sense of you come home and you feel like you've actually made someone else feel good about themselves, and that usually makes you feel good about yourselves.
I was going to ask you one question, not really physio related, but most jobs, even if it isn't necessarily what you want to do for the rest of your life, what skills would you say are the most valuable
for physio?
Obviously, I feel like meeting people, dealing with people.
In my opinion, to be a really good physio, doesn't matter what exercise or what research you know, and the best physios, in my opinion, are the ones who can relate to a patient and get them on board with what you're trying to get them to do. Doesn't matter how much you know, if you can stand there and speak to someone and say, this is kind of what's going on. I really kind of understand it, and I understand you as a person, and you're not just kind of seeing them as a patient. And every time they come
emphatic. You've also got to think outside of the box. So you've got to be creative. You've got to make things enjoyable. If you've got to be engaging. If it's boring, we all know it. You're not going to do it.
You have to be engaged in person. You have to go into those situations where you might be like, oh, this isn't what I want to do. And
you've almost got to instill belief into people as well. Because a lot of people, especially older people, I find that sometimes they just lack a bit of confidence. All they need is a bit of a boost. Someone to tell them, look, you can do this.
It's a bit like a glorified personal trainer, or like a degree level personal trainer, really.
Just with more of an information about
the body and how it works. Right, that's physio covered. Let's move on to you. What do you do?
2 minutes.
So what does Charlie Goldson do?
Official job title, which I have said, I'm a client accounting officer. I work in conveyancing. Which
is what?
Basically, the area I work in is dealing with the money when people buy and sell houses. So when someone buys a house, like money gets transferred from a solicitor to us. You then deal with that money, basically. I'm trying to do it in the simplest terms, and then it gets sent out to the next lawyer who it then goes to. But obviously there's loads of different processes within it. But it's basically just the money side of buying and selling houses. Like you have files, the person's name, like you see all the legal fees, estate agent fees, like all that kind of.
And can you see yourself doing that for the rest of your life?
It's not my dream job, mate, no. But I would say, like, with every job, there are skills that you learn that better you, and if you do them to maximize what you can learn from it. I mean, anyone could do my job. Like, I'm going to put it quite simple. Like, it's not a difficult job. But my ability to deal with numbers a lot quicker than it was before, and just different programs and softwares, I feel like has definitely helped me. But I definitely won't be doing it for the rest of my life.
You also make a bit of money elsewhere on the side with buying and selling, don't you?
I think we've all got little habits and little hobbies and stuff that we do outside of work, but which we can touch on in other episodes and that kind of thing.
Leo wants to go home. Oh, 8 years old.
I think we'll finish this off by asking the same question. Would 10-year-old Eddie, are you proud of the man you are right now?
Yeah, I would say so. I think the fact that I've
left home, got a job,
got a degree really doesn't mean that much these days, but I had to have
it for the job that I'm doing.
Got a degree. I've left home, which I think was a big step for me. Especially coming so far away from home as well. And then having a job. I'd be proud of where I am now.
With 10-year-old Charlie, be proud of who?
Right now, I'm not. I feel like I could be doing more.
I'm not proud of myself. I feel like people would take it too
literally,
emotionally deep. Of like, I'm really insecure and stuff like that, and I'm not. But I just expect more from myself. Like, would I say I'm proud of myself in certain aspects? Yes. But in a lot of aspects, no. But it's purely because I know I can do better. But I wouldn't say I'm not upset with myself for like.
There's so many questions I can ask you from that, but
I know. Am I just want to leave it at that? No, because I know I can. I could have done a lot better since you like leaving uni and in that time before, and I want to make a lot less excuses and start doing a lot more. Just start whatever it is. Just start doing stuff.
Less excuses. Take more accountability for your own decisions.
Do you want to ask me the same question?
Would your 10-year-old self?
Would your 10-year-old self be
proud of where you are, Leo?
I think yes. I think it's always good to have some sort of pride. Otherwise, you'll never feel it. Well, because if you're always chasing, I'm going to be proud when I reach this goal, you're never going to reach that goal, because once you have reached that goal, you'll forget that you've reached it and you'll try and get something new. So yes, I am proud of where I am. Doesn't mean I don't want to carry on making myself proud and making people around me proud. I think that's the main thing. I'd love to make people around me proud, really, rather than myself. That's just a bonus.
I think
if I can get to a point where I look around and go, my friends are proud of me, my family is proud of me, my girlfriend's proud of me.
I think that's where I struggle though, because like my parents will say they're proud of me, and then I'll just in my head I'm just like, proud of
You're
what?
just saying that.
Like, proud of what? Like, what have I done for you to be proud of me?
Mummy loves
I'm like
you.
like I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to it. Like people can tell me that they're like,
we're still young
so
though. I
proud
think
of you, and I'm just like proud. Like I need to do so much.
we're in
more.
our 20s though.
I
I think
need to do that.
I think if we had the same conversation when we were 40 and we've got our own kids and
I hope I say I'm proud of myself by 40. Mate. Christ.
But I think you're the sort of person to say you never.
I think if you've got that mindset now,
so
it's
I don't
hard
think-
for it to
I
change.
know.
Unless you're sitting on a boat somewhere, your feet up, like your own boat, and you're.
I still
60
think-
years
No,
old,
but my
you're
biggest
just
issue is
chilling.
if I see someone
Doesn't
else that
matter.
has it.
You won't. You.
If I see someone else that has it, I'll be like,
So I want that.
there is nothing that you've done in life that I'm not capable of doing myself.
Yeah, no, but that doesn't mean that.
But I'm not, this is what I'm saying, it's not that I'm not proud of myself, because I am in certain aspects.
Yeah.
Just the things that matter to me most right now, like, because I'm not where I want to be, it's then hard for me to then say, yes, I'm proud of myself, because I haven't got there.
Right, we're going to end it there. That's a very interesting conversation. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's been really good to kind of touch on what we do. And
Waffling on.
it might sound like waffle, but we hope you guys find it insightful. Obviously, if you've got any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, because that would be very grateful for us. Leave a like on the video. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Music,
Let's go for
this, mate.
please leave us a follow, because again, we'd be very grateful. And
If you want to come on the podcast,
Yeah.
that would be
contact
fantastic.
us on any of our socials, leave a comment or email us, and we'd love to have a chat with you guys about what you do, kind of similar topics, and kind of we want to just understand more about people and you guys watching our people. So who better
to just talk?
You are people.
who better to speak to? Yeah. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next episode.
Goodbye.
Ta-ra.